This episode of The Crucible is being brought to you in partnership with the Old City Day School. With their child-centered approach to learning, they are guided by the principle that quality early learning programs are the foundation for children's success. The Old City Day School, where an investment in the early education of a child is an investment in the future.
Welcome back to The Crucible. My guest today is a force in the world of advertising, brand storytelling, and business leadership. A woman who knows how to blend strategy with heart, vision with real-world impact, and has found a way to do all of that right here in the market of Philadelphia. Tracey Santilli is the president of the Philadelphia office of Carmichael Lynch, full-service advertising and PR agency. She's playing a key role in shaping what modern integrated marketing looks like. In March of 2024, Tracey co-led the high-profile roll-up of Tierney into Carmichael Lynch, an ambitious move that brought more muscle, scale, and depth to the agency's Philadelphia operations. And today, she's responsible for just about everything that makes the office run, from client relationships and creative strategy to agency culture, operations, and talent development. She's got her hands in all the big picture work, ensuring the agency delivers integrated business driving solutions while also keeping a pulse on team dynamics, recruitment, and DEIBA initiatives. Tracey's also a champion of mentorship and professional growth, partnering with HR to make sure the agency doesn't just attract great talent, but it nurtures it as well. And when she's not in the boardroom or strategizing on behalf of a client, Tracey's giving her time to the next generation. She currently serves as a board member of the Please Touch Museum, one of the nation's most beloved nonprofit children's museums, based right here in Philadelphia. Her commitment to education, philanthropy, and social impact runs deep. Before stepping into her leadership role here at Carmichael Lynch, previously Tierney, Tracey built her foundation at Ketchum in New York, where she worked on consumer brand marketing campaigns for major names like Alberto Culver, L'Oreal, Quaker, and Spiegel. She's a proud graduate of West Virginia University. Go Mountaineers, yes. I should say that. I have a superintendent who was a proud Mountaineer and a friend who's a proud Mountaineer. But today she balances her leadership life with a vibrant family life in New Jersey, where she lives with her husband and two daughters and their Bernedoodle Hunter. Yes. But like every leader who sits in this chair, you've had your own crucible moments. And those are the kind of challenges, the kind that challenge what you think you know, the kind that force reinvention, and the kind that strengthen your resolve. This is Tracey Santilli, and this is The Crucible. Tracey, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I know that's really hard for you to sit through your bio.
I'm surprised I'm not red, or maybe I am.
Everyone goes through it, and I did yours with a cold start. I was like, I'm not even going to tell you.
Yeah, that was very kind.
So the reason we do that, as you know, is this show is all about those crucible moments, and there are plenty of people in your life that know you. They know you well. They know. Not only you as a person, but also from a professional standpoint, all of the things that you've accomplished. And what happens is those who are kind of closest to us in some of those spaces unintentionally put us on a pedestal. And so that pedestal effect is sometimes creates a situation where people look at you almost like you're having a flawless life. And we all know that that's not
even close.
Mistakes are literally a condition of humanity. So, so this show is really, the reason I make you sit through that is so that those in the audience who do not know you, they can get a moment to go, okay, this woman has accomplished a lot, and it makes your crucible moment that much better, that much more powerful for them. And so we'll jump right into it, and I'll ask you, tell us about a crucible moment of yours.
Yeah. So I thought about this a lot and was trying to go through, the trajectory of your personal life from childhood all the way through to today. And then, of course, that gets, in parallel with everything that, I have done in my professional career. And I kept coming back to, I don't think that there is one. And that is not because I'm arrogant.
No,
I
you're
can
right.
tell you right now there are many, many, many. But I like to think of them as, micro failures.
That's
And so when I look at that, I think there were lots of things along the way that where I had missteps and where I failed. And I'm not sure that they were all colossal in scale. I think they were small. And I think when I think about some of those examples, there are ones where I think I look at themes, right? And I think one theme was there were lots of times in my career where early on I did not trust my gut. When I had a gut feeling about a particular business situation, or I had a gut feeling about an opportunity and I didn't trust that gut, that was a micro failure, right? And what that taught me was either the candidate that I didn't trust my gut on didn't work out and some of the consequences of that, or in one instance, I, made a leap from a professional standpoint to leave the agency and go to another agency, and I was chasing a dollar. I knew in my gut that wasn't the right thing to do, but I still chased it nonetheless and learned very quickly that I was completely unhappy. And it was a moment where I was then able to come back to my values and realize what was really important to me. So I look at all of those micro failures, and I also think that juxtaposed with that was also, I think a failure was a fear of failure.
Okay.
And not taking risks sometimes. So yes, we all make mistakes, and I think there are a lot of those that we can talk about, but I also feel like there was an underpinning of I'm afraid to fail. And if I fail, what does that say about me as a human? And tying myself to, if I'm successful, that ties to me as how good I am or not as a human being. And I think women in general, from lots of women that I speak to, tend to do that. We tie our identity to our accomplishments that we have at work. And so for me, the fear of failure, oftentimes I didn't take some risks. And I think that that is something I've learned over time to push myself. When I'm uncomfortable, it almost is now the push that I need to go do it.
So let me ask you a question. So I like the idea of micro failures. I think, first of all, these crucible moments, right? Like it's a tough situation, because I ask everyone about a crucible moment, and we all know that even if you had one that seemed gigantic, there were other stumbles along the way. But the thing with let me ask you this, is, they say hindsight is 20/20. So do you think, looking back now, you view them as micro failures, but how did you feel when you were in the moment, in one of those?
I would say in the moment, I definitely felt that they were failures, and I beat myself up, and I think sometimes we are our own worst critics. I think now, because you're right, going backwards, I think it was either one of two things: a lesson to be learned, it was a learning, or it was a redirection.
Ooh, I like that.
And I think that when you look at one of those things, or sometimes maybe both, right? You learned and then you were able to redirect as a result of that.
I like that, So we say around here, no losses, just lessons, but I like redirection as well.
It's a redirection. And I think reframing too, that instead of thinking about these micro failures as an indictment of who you are as an individual, I think what I've tried to do, particularly over the past, I would say 5-6 years, wisdom comes, I think, with age, is reframing it to be just that. It is not a failure. It is a lesson to be learned. And when I learn something, I'm growing, and I'm increasing my potential, and I'm learning new things, and I'm then able to apply that to myself and to other people around me. So it's almost a gift.
No, I agree.
Right?
It is. Especially once. So the interesting thing that I found is when you're in one of those moments, right? It seems to be all encompassing. but I feel like it happens in stages. The moment happens, you're in it. It doesn't feel like a moment either. That's the interesting thing about
Right.
the premise of the show. When you are having that failure or that crucible moment, it feels like everything's falling apart. And then you come through it, and then you're dealing with whatever is happening internally. And then at some point, to your point, like you said, with age comes wisdom, you recognize that, okay, I got through that. And I think that that is a hard thing. Some people never get to that recognition. They're, because they are so burdened down with whatever it was that happened to them. So I'm curious. I know you mentioned the last 5 or 6 years, but maybe it was before that. Maybe it wasn't. When did you come to kind of the understanding that these things were more of a gift?
Yeah.
To you?
Definitely, I think it takes a village. So I think I was very fortunate to be surrounded by really strong people in my personal and professional life to help provide that perspective. But I will say there was a time where I was tired of carrying that weight.
Yeah.
I was tired of, I'm so afraid to fail, and I'm so anxious if I don't get it right, get it perfect. It was just a feeling of, I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And I'm like, something has to give. I have to reframe or retrain my perspective in these moments. And like I said, there were a lot of people that helped provide some guidance around that. But I also realized that it was partially an exercise in prioritization too, right? So work is really important to us, and it's a part of our life, but it's not the only thing that's a part of our life. And I think when you hold on to what I shared early on is a couple of things, right? I tie my success to how good or bad I am in my professional life, and therefore everything's got to be perfect and everything's got to be right, and I don't want to take risks because I'm afraid of failing. All of those things come together, and you realize, wait a minute, hold up. This is one aspect of who I am. And I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a friend. And when you put that all into perspective, I think it also gives you the runway to be able to say, it's okay. Like, you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself in this one area because you have all these other wonderful things that are happening in your life. And so I think that was challenging, but, candidly, a good executive coach helps you get there too. And I had a wonderful one. I participated in a program a couple of years ago through our holding company called Leadership Lab, and we had that ability to talk to someone, and naturally it kind of came up. So it was almost the validation from former bosses, former and current bosses and colleagues and so on and so forth, and mentors, that you're like, okay, I'm hearing this, and now it all culminated in the validation there too. So it's not easy. I mean, old habits die hard, but I try to look at everything as this is a growth opportunity and this is a lesson. And if I'm uncomfortable, then I need to push myself to go through it to see what's on the other side, a lesson or a redirection.
No, I like that. So it's interesting you say that. You were speaking about the executive coach, but also just being in that space with peers and getting that kind of that validation, or this concept for the show came from a leadership workshop that I was working on, and all the execs, we had to do this leadership workshop, and I shared my crucible moment in that workshop, and my CEO at the time was floored by my crucible moment, and then he asked me to, he changed an executive offsite to have me present my crucible moment, and the stories that came back after I had shared, my moment, it worked the same way. It was like people were like, "Oh, I've never had a space to really talk about that," because most times when you show up, people only want to talk about the success, and they miss.
And I think people also have an expectation, all with the best of intentions, of seeing you at your best moment, right? Seeing you as a stoic leader that can, navigate. But I think when you show a little bit of vulnerability, personally or professionally, you're right. You open the door for other people to share their stories, and then you learn from each other. You empathize with one another, and I just think you get better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it definitely unlocks a level of empathy with those that work with you, with those who may work for you, and those you may work for. There is something about being able to unlock that. I think, from a work standpoint, it makes for better teams when there's a certain level of empathy. And then I think personally, there's, we recognize that, well, at least I do, that your story isn't really for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you go through it, but it's so other people can kind of learn and grow from there. And so from a personal standpoint, when we get a chance to share these moments, we recognize that we've learned the things that we needed to learn from them. Whether we're applying them perfectly or not, different story. But now, when we put them out in the space, they're for other folks to learn from. So
absolutely. And I think that, in sharing, I think the fear of failure was inhibiting my own growth potential.
Yeah.
And once you're able to shed that and reframe it, I wound up getting more, I was comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so then it allowed me to take a little bit more risks or not beat myself up when there was a mistake. And it's just opened up so many more opportunities to learn and to grow.
Where do you think your fear of failure
came
from?
I think that, there's probably a lot of different factors. I would just say I'm the eldest child, so I think there's a whole psychological thing there. But no, I think that, I had two very hardworking parents. My mom, a teacher, my dad in finance. And they worked really hard. They wanted the best, and I think there was a people-pleasing aspect, right, growing up. And also, you get rewarded for performance, right? When I'm a Gen Xer, so we had a lot of autonomy, but we also, right? But we were the latchkey kids. But we also had a lot of, at least in my household, it was, you do well, in school, you get rewarded for that. You do well in sports, you get rewarded for that. So when you start that as an early age, it was pretty easy to carry that through.
Yeah.
And I think I just was comfortable just putting my head down, working hard, and then getting those rewards as a result of it. It's like, well, if I waver from this and I don't do well, then I won't get said reward, whatever that would be. So I do think that's where it came from, but I think it got to a point where it was paralyzing, and taking risks just makes you stronger. And it's not I think, again, not looking at it as a bad thing, right? To have a micro failure or a big failure,
I love that. What's really interesting is when you become a parent and you start to kind of see the world through your children's eyes.
Yes.
Because there's when you're raising children, they don't have any fear initially, right? Like all of their fears are like imposed on them. They're jumping off of things, and you're like, no, don't jump off of that. Like, don't touch that.
Right.
And so it's interesting. You start to catch yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm now putting my own fears into my child. Or, again, fellow Gen Xer, rewarding behaviors, because that's how we grew up, not recognizing the pressure, because we were in the pressure, so we didn't see it as pressure. I think children nowadays, they feel it as pressure. And so when we're like, oh no, you were really trying to reward the effort,
Oh, 100%.
But it appears that you're rewarding this particular behavior, and that creates a whole other.
Well, and I think now with, teenagers, I've caught myself conversely trying to coach and say, don't worry about it. Just try your best.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, because you're almost, I don't want to create the same patterns
Yeah.
that I was when I was like, don't jump off the couch, you're gonna hurt yourself. You know, I'm like, that obviously there were safety reasons there. But as they get older and you see the pressure that they put on themselves, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just do the best you can, and wherever it's a decision, you know, one way or the other, and it'll all work out.
It's gonna work out.
There was a stat, and I have no idea where to attribute it, but it also helped too, that of 85% of the things that we worry about work out. And that's been, you know, helpful,
Yeah.
right? Because when you think about it that way, all the times that we are our own worst enemies in our mind, it's like 85% of the time it's going to work out. And then the other 15% of the time when it doesn't, it's a lesson.
Yeah.
So it still works out. So it's, you know, as much as people, we get inside our heads sometimes too. And I think I was, you know, what if this, what if this? And I'm like, how about just what is? Let's live in what is instead of what if.
I love that. You know
And
what?
that's in the moment versus the scenario planning when we're ruminating and we're going to sleep and we can't fall asleep and we're worried about this. It's like, no, let's what is today.
You know what, Tracy? I think that is a perfect spot to close. I was going to ask you, what should people take away?
Yeah, that's
it.
Yeah.
So I thank you for, you know, coming and gracing us
You're
with your
welcome.
presence
Thanks
on
for
the
having me.
Crucible. Everyone, that was another phenomenal episode of The Crucible with Jeff Marshall. Thank you very much again, Tracy.
Thank you.
Remember, if you take anything from this conversation, concentrate on the what is, not the what if. And I also like that point about 85% of the time things will work out. So thanks again. Catch us next time on The Crucible with Jeff Marshall. Until then, be well.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of The Crucible with Jeff Marshall. If you would like to be a guest on the program, let's be in touch. And be sure to stay connected with us through your favorite platforms. The Crucible with Jeff Marshall is part of the A Live Podcast Network and can be found in audio-only format wherever you listen to your podcasts. Production of this project was created by Gifted Entertainment, a full-service creative video production company.